We were talking about this yesterday because I'm really enamored with the idea. Not enamored, but I can't get away from the idea because we were talking about yesterday. Do you trust Scott Perry? And part of I think the Scott Perry question comes down to Doug Christie and what happens with the Kings head coaching situation this offseason, next offseason, whatever it is. And I was thinking about this after a clip you posted from our show yesterday. And you said that, hey, this might not be Scott Perry's mess, but we hired him to clean it up. Because after next offseason, it's not just going to be like, oh, hey, we're still waiting. Like, no, any GM could have waited out contracts.
Yeah.
Like, with Scott Perry was hired to kind of accelerate this.
Could have hired Miracle to do that.
1,000%. Accumulate assets, etc. Then I started thinking, all right, so let's pretend Doug is back next year, because it sounded like a report from Jake Fisher indicated that's sort of where things are heading.
Yeah.
And the theory behind that,
Substack, I believe it was.
The theory behind that was, well, everybody was so hurt this year, and this season got so far off the rails that no coach could have controlled it. And man, just impossible to evaluate Doug this year. So we'll give him next year, which is fine. I understand it. I got it. But at the same time, when we talk about Scott Perry and next offseason, we talk about, all right, stretch provision Zach LaVine and trade Domantas Sabonis. And, oh, should you trade Keegan Murray for a first-round pick? Like, we talk about getting rid of all these guys. So if they bring back Doug Christie, and let's say they do all that, they just get rid of everybody, they accumulate a ton of assets, and that team is ass next year. The roster's even worse. It's the number 5 pick. It's the whatever pick they traded to get back into the first round, and just a bunch of bleh. And they win 18 games. They get worse.
Yes.
Are we just continuing to roll forward with Doug Christie?
Look, if they win 18 games,
or is there an obligation for Scott Perry to say, hey, we're not trading Sabonis because we need him. We're not trading Keegan because we need him, because I need to put a team on the court that Doug can win with, because I got to figure out if this guy can win basketball games.
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, you have to fix up the roster to where you're not going into it like you did this season. Because my biggest concern going into the year this season was you got a bunch of guys that are left over and don't necessarily, like, I don't want to say want to be here, but aren't necessarily bought into what's going on here. Zach LaVine was here for the De'Aaron Fox trade, and like it's been kind of clear, like, yeah, he don't want to be here. That just hasn't worked. It's been just a bad move. DeMar DeRozan was brought in to play with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis and be coached under Mike Brown. That blew up half a season, and now he's kind of left over, just kind of lingering around. Domantas Sabonis is also part of that group, but also, like, yeah, we tried to build around you. It didn't work. So it's kind of like, where do you fall? Are you part of this still going forward? Are we going to move you? There's been opportunities where they could have, or where they've been close, but haven't yet. So, like, again, it's just the group you came into the season with a bunch of guys. It's like, what exactly are we doing here? Yeah, they're talented, no doubt, but are they bought into Sacramento? Are they bought into, I guess, the future and just what we're trying to build here? So I thought that was one of the biggest issues, and I think that was a disservice to Doug, because that's tough to coach a bunch of guys who aren't necessarily bought in or like hearing the message that he's trying to convey. So you got to fix up the roster in a way where I don't think you have to get rid of Domantas Sabonis. Like Keegan Murray, like unless you get like a first round pick or something that you like for him, like Keegan Murray's here and you're building with him as well. But I do think you do need to move off of guys like Zach LaVine. DeMar DeRozan is great, but I think it's probably best for him and best for this franchise that you move off of him as well and just give Doug a fresh start. Where it's like, okay, I don't know where Domantas Sabonis falls, but you got enough guys that are finally bought into what's going on here, and like Doug can move forward with guys like that are playing for the Sacramento Kings rather than just kind of lingering around. You got to kind of give him a fair shot first.
So is that to say there's an obligation to put a team on the court that can win next year?
It doesn't necessarily have to. I don't know if like win is the right word, but compete. I guess compete.
What's the what's the priority then?
I think the priority, you probably do need to move off of Zach LaVine. You do need to move off of DeMar DeRozan. like I said, Domas can stay, Keegan can stay, but it's like now you got added draft pick. Scott Perry makes a couple of other free agent moves where it's like, oh yeah, it's not band-aids like Dennis Schroeder, but more, all right, these are guys that I think can help us move forward. It's just getting guys in here who are gonna help you move forward finally. And that are gonna help you compete. I'm not worried about them making the plan. I just want to see them take steps forward. This year was a bunch of guys that are just, I don't want to say hanging out because that makes it seem harsh, but like they're just, we all know you're moving on from them at some point.
Interesting.
So Doug needs a roster where it's like, all right, like at least they're bought into what's going on here. Doesn't need to be 41 and 41 type, but again, like maybe it's Cam Boozer, AJ DeBonsta, whoever, Darius Acuff starting, and then you got Max and Domantas Sabonis potentially start at the 5 and 4, however you want to work that. Keegan at the 3, and then I'm not sure who you got at the 2, but point being, it's like, all right, we got a mix of young players, and like Domantas Sabonis can kind of be the vet for the time being until he's moved, or maybe he just buys back into what the Sacramento Kings are doing.
So,
because
my worry with this would be not necessarily that they're passing opportunities to accumulate assets, which is what I think they need to be doing.
And we're talking about what the ideal situation for Doug Christie would be.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, the ideal situation is one that you just kind of laid out. Domantas Sabonis still here. Keegan Murray's still here. DeAndre Hunter is here. Their first-round pick from this year is here. It's Nick Clifford, Max Reynaud, Dylan Cardwell. Like, okay, we're starting to get the outline of what this team is going to be over the next few years. But at the same time, and again, I don't know where I land on this. I'm just trying to talk through it. If that's the case and you're just saying, okay, can Doug field a competitive team? Can the team be just competitive when he's the coach? If that's the goal, fine. But my worry with that is then all of a sudden it does start becoming Band-Aids. And it does start becoming, because I don't think you're just going to sign a free agent who's like, oh yeah, this is going to help our team win a championship. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to come via trade, and I think the free agents you sign are going to be like Dennis Schroeder types, where it feels like a Band-Aid.
Well, that's kind of the other side of this. We're talking about the ideal situation for Doug, but is that the ideal situation for the Sacramento Kings?
Because exactly it.
If you can get a first-round pick for Domantas Sabonis, then yeah, you probably do that. But again, that does hurt the team and how competitive they can be. And if you're able to get maybe just obtain assets for these other guys and just kind of build up that way, that's not going to put Doug in the best position. But again, it is best for your rebuild. So you kind of, I don't know if you have to juggle it, because I don't know if I don't know if you have to juggle it for Doug. You have to kind of just juggle obtaining assets and just balancing how competitive the team is for Doug Christie. Because again, I don't know how bought in we are on Doug Christie to this point. I can't go out and tell you that he's a good coach right now. I just can't. It's all a bunch of evaluation. But yeah, you kind of have to find the balance there. Like, yeah, you want to help Doug, but also you want to help your franchise first and foremost. So if I can get picks and kind of obtain assets that way, then Doug's kind of got to make it work.
And maybe that's it. Maybe they say, hey, you need to figure out a way to make this team competitive after we've stretched provision Zach LaVine and we've bought out DeMar DeRozan and traded Domantas Sabonis. You got to figure out how to turn this team into a winner, because you can't win fewer games.
Yeah. You got to get something out of it.
Yeah. And I could see us sitting here at this time next year, and the Kings have traded all their dudes, and it's a first-round pick, and it's Cardwell, and it's Reynaud, and they've won 20-ish games. I could see the argument being like, well, yeah, but look, it's a bunch of rookies and second-year guys, and they haven't put a team around Doug yet, so how can you even really evaluate? Like, that's what I wonder. If you're Scott Perry and you decide to hang on to Doug Christie this year or this offseason, because this year is impossible to evaluate. How is next year going to be different unless you're like, all right, well, Domas is going to be back. And you know what? We're going to hang on to DeMar DeRozan for one more year. And you know what? Keegan Murray is a big part of this team moving forward. He's going to be around. Unless you're just doing that because you need to see if you think Doug can coach, and now you're kicking the can down the road one more year. That's where I don't know how this goes. But I don't think the ideal situation for Doug Christie is what I think the ideal situation is for the Kings.
That seems like a problem, Kyle.
I know it.
It seems like a problem.
I know it. That's where I'm sitting there last night, and I saw the Jake Fisher report. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it would make sense to bring Doug back.
Yeah, and the report was they're shuffling things around for him to potentially be back.
and then you saying, and then the clip going up of you saying that, well, it's not Scott Perry's mess, but you hired him to clean it up. Like, well, I think the way to clean it up is by kind of trying to jettison guys and get some assets back. But also, that's not necessarily putting Doug Christie in the best place to evaluate him as a guy who can win basketball games.
Yeah.
Because again, when it comes to like development of young players, I personally don't believe that's like the head coach does that. Like, no, there's player development coaches. There's a ton of off-season work that they do. It's about that coach putting those players in the best position to succeed where their team can be as competitive as possible. And I frankly don't think Doug has done a good job of that this year.
Do you think there's anyone, we can take Doug Christie out of it, insert whatever coach you want, anyone that you could have put here on a 2-year deal that would have been able to, I guess, coach themselves into the next contract for this Kings team? And I guess I'm kind of heading towards, like, is Doug Christie kind of like the sacrificial lamb of all this? Where
feels like it.
Like we're talking about, like, yeah, the ideal situation for the Kings next year is probably to accumulate more assets and less about, trying to get into the plan, which would help Doug, like winning and all that. And it's just kind of like, how is Doug Christie, how exactly is he supposed to win here?
That's what I,
and I mean, how, and know. Win being his earn that next contract. Like, how exactly is he supposed to make that happen for himself?
That's what I don't know. And that's where this all goes back to the 2-year deal. And I know we harp on this a lot, but I think it's a massive, massive misstep by the Kings. To me, you're not going to find out what you need to know next year. I don't, if you're doing the right things for your franchise, I don't think you're going to find out about everything you need to know about Doug Christie next year. So you're either going into year 2, not putting him in a position to earn a longer contract, or you're going into year 2 where you've put Doug in that position to potentially win, but also, like, man, the team moved sort of laterally from a roster standpoint.
Yeah.
Because James Ham has done a phenomenal job on all the various platforms that he's on Locked On Kings and on with D'Lo and KC Monday and Wednesday at 2:30. But he's done a great job of laying out like the dire financial position the Kings are in. It's like, all right, well, the best way to move off of that is to get off some of these contracts and get off some of these players. And I don't also think that that's the best thing for Doug. I think it's a really, really hard needle they're trying to thread. And I don't know how it works out for them.
Honestly, we've talked about it all season long. We're talking about it now. The way I see this ending is that it's either this season or next year, but just I don't think Doug's this team's coach long term.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Let me also do this. Let me just present the optimistic side because I don't think we've done that yet. But
not too many
nice
times.
Nice of Joe to show up.
Oh, promotions.
Wow, there he is. Big promotions guy.
Yeah.
The optimistic side of this, and this is what somebody may be saying. I'm not looking right now, but there's also a chance that you bring in a bunch of young guys, you trade Sabonis, and you buy out DeRozan, and you stretch provision Zach LaVine. You throw a bunch of young guys on the court, and Doug wins with them. Doug wins 30 games next year, and it's like, wow, holy crap, what a guy! Like, there's also that opportunity. So I want to make sure that we open that door as well. I'm not optimistic about that.
Yeah, nor am I. As I am I.
Nor am I.
Nor am I.
Nor am I.
Yeah.
There
we go.
Nice, dude.
English language on the
Nice.
jump.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it's just, as we talk through it, it's gonna be tough for him to kind of earn that next deal. And yeah, I mean, it's simple as that. He's in a tough spot, but also I'm not gonna lie to anyone and be like, oh yeah, like he's done well either. Like, he has not done himself any favors this season.
Lottery Luck TCG in the chatty house at youtube.com/ESPN1320. A reminder, you can also text this program at 916-909-1320. That is the Mojo's Local Tap and Kitchen studio text line. Head down to Mojo's Local Tap and Kitchen. It's on IN 15th. Get that ESPN 1320 special.
Yes, do that.
16-ounce California craft beer. Get yourself some onion rings. Beer battered onion rings are delightful. Get yourself some fries. If you don't like onion rings, get it all for $13.20. An awesome deal at my very favorite bar in Sacramento. TCG said exactly, they never had long-term plans for Doug. They needed someone to eat L's while they rebuild. That's how this feels to me.
No, it's exactly how it feels.
That's how it feels bringing him back next year, too, because they're like, hey, next year's not going to be better. Doug, you're in. And if you happen to coach him to 35 wins, we'll reconsider. But that's how it feels to me. Aaron Mick said Doug's never be the guy during the teardown, be the guy during the rebuild. Yep. That's what's happening. A teardown is happening. I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
This is a teardown presently, not a rebuild.
Because the guys will talk about on D'Lo and Casey, more so Damian, he brings it up. Like, can the Kings still move forward with Domantas Sabonis? And my thing is, under the contract that he's under, like, he's always going to have to be your second best player or built around that, at least, just given the money he's making. And I think that's kind of ran its course here. And it's just, like Aaron Mick said, you're still in the process of a teardown, I think. If you're able to get a first-round pick for Sabonis and not take back a Jakob Poeltl type contract, then you're probably doing that deal.
I think you have to. I think they would have.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's probably
you're doing that deal. So it's just there's still more teardown that needs to happen, and Doug's kind of got to navigate the obstacles and somehow figure out a way to get to that next deal. But like we've said, I'll say it again, I'm not optimistic about it. I think it kind of ends with someone else coaching the Kings, whether it be this year or next season after.
I like Doug Christie. I hope that's not the case. I'm rooting so hard for him. I hope that the Kings, whatever they do next year, they win 40 games.
Yeah,
I hope they massively overachieve.
Yeah, and Doug is not just Kings. He's a Sacramento. He's a community guy. Like, he's kind of ingrained here and all that. So, like, of course, you would want it to work with that guy a team that really doesn't catch much love anywhere else in the league and just nationally. Like, no, you got a guy here who's like, no, I want this to work badly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hope it does, man.
We'll see.
I'm rooting for the guy.
They didn't do themselves any favors, though.
No, they sure didn't. All right. 916-909-1320. The phone lines are open. The Mojo's Local Tap and Kitchen text line is open. The 707 says, if Vivek has his fingerprints on any decisions regarding who the coach is going to be moving forward, I think Doug will stay for another year, and at that point, the money is at zero for what you owe past coaches. That's from Norm.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe that was it. Yeah, 2-year deal. We'll clear all the books and pay big money for a coach in 27. I don't know. I hope that's not the case.
And again, I think we're led to think right now that Vivek's not involved. So
allegedly.
Yes, we'll see how long that lasts.
Allegedly.
We'll see how long that lasts.
The 530 asks what the free agency class even looks like next year. I haven't paid attention either. We're locked in on the draft.
And no, that's the thing too.
And then we can get through the free agency class.
The contracts are going to fall off the books. The Kings are going to have money, blah blah blah. So they're going to sign free agents.
No, but I think they'll have if they do it right, they'll have a bunch of assets where they can trade for a big free.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Potentially.
Yeah.
And they'll have the cap space to absorb. Just
530 was asking about free agents. Like, I don't know if that's where we're looking.
Well, but I had said if they just sign a bunch of Dennis Schroeder level free agents. Is that even out there? What's it look like? I have not even looked.
I got you.
We can dive into that though for sure.